Hola, marhaba, good morning, bonjour, and ni hao. This is Mo, Mohammed Abu Shanab. You can always call me Mo. I'm the international lawyer and legal tax expert. Welcome back to the podcast of Global Expat. We have an amazing guest again for the second time, Mr. Ahmed Yakzan. The first two many episodes we have a lot of views and a lot of comments and more questions. That was something I was expecting. So, as a quick intro, Ahmed, you would like to reintroduce yourself. Most of the viewers know you and know about the dream law office or the American dream law office story in the shower, which makes a lot of people happy. So, if you can just make a very quick introduction to yourself, and then we get into the questions we have today.
Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm attorney Ahmed Yakzan. I'm the owner and the founder of American Dream Law Office, where we always try to empower your American dream. You can call us, get in touch with us through Muhammad, or go to our website, and we'll be always happy to help you. We do cases all over the world, literally. So if you have a case in front of a U.S. embassy in the United States, or if you're facing deportation or trying to do an investment visa in the United States, we're a general practice in the United States, so we'll be more than happy to help you. Don't fall for as any scammers or consultants out there. Hire an attorney that has done it exclusively for 5 years, for 15 years, and that will get you probably a much better result than hire someone else. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Perfectly, Aman. That's one of the things I'll always advise my community and everyone online. Just look for the licensed attorney who understand the global mindset, not just the US but other countries, and have a lot of experience in dealing with a very complex case. One of the questions that we have received a lot, not just in the comment, but my WhatsApp is bombarded every day about just one topic. It's keep coming back and back, especially about the US, is the administrative review or administrative processing. I'm not sure I'm writing it or saying it correctly, but if someone applied for a visa and they have not been denied or the visa been refused, it's put in something in the middle between acceptance and refuse called administrative review. I'm right in this?
Yes, and they actually use the terms interchangeably, so they use both terms. So they use administrative processing and administrative review, depending on which counselor you go in front of. But so what administrative review is not really, it's not really a denial. But it's in, as you said, it's in between. Like we can't really approve you, but there's something missing in your background that you have to actually do for you to for us to approve you. Let me give you an example. I'm an attorney. I applied for my mom's
Okay.
case. After she got her interview in Beirut, she went to Beirut to get her green card, her immigrant visa, and they put her in administrative process.
Oh my
Apparently,
God.
they did that for every single person in on that day, and yeah, and it's very strange. So they did it to every single person that went in for an interview, and it depends on on the post. That's number one. It also depends on your background. So if you have anything criminal in your background, or if you didn't actually put anything in your application for the visa, that's what triggers uh, inadmissibility into the United States if you're trying to come into the United States. Meaning, inadmissibility means that you're not admissible into the United States. We can't allow you into the United States. Um, that's one reason. Maybe a criminal background or something that you didn't actually put on the application for the benefit that you're trying to get. That's the number one issue, that's the number one reason to be in administrative processing. Number two, if you're ineligible for the benefit that you're asking for, and there is something that the Department of State has to go back to USCIS and check on. Meaning, if you were married to two people at the same time, that's an inadmissibility ground. So if you're married to two people at the same time, but there is an I-130 or an I-140 approved on your behalf by mistake by USCIS, what the administrative review process will do is they will send back your immigrant visa petition back to USCIS in the United States to tell them this guy is not eligible for the I-130. Do you want to keep your approval or reverse your approval for the underlying visa petition or not? So if they come back and say no, we're actually going to stick with our decision, our initial decision, then the State Department will have to actually remove the administrative hold on the case and actually issue the immigrant visa. But if they say no, we need to reverse our previous decision, then they won't be eligible for the green card. So there are a lot of reasons why you are in administrative processing, but it really depends on the reason why you're in administrative processing. And that's what would make my answer to that question differ from one person to the other.
Understand. It's case by case. It's
Yes.
I mean, I've seen a lot of videos about people. I mean, you have been put in the administrative review because your background, because you're born in a country that could have a problems with the US immigration, or
Yes.
you have a father from, or you have a name that appears to be from somewhere, so it's case by case.
Yes.
There's no, I mean, it have to be, you have to check the history of the candidate, his application, what he have done in the US, and his family. That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I have a very, you can say, a very close friend of mine. A couple of years ago, when I was used to live in London all the time, he applied. He was born in the UK, but his wife was born in Syria, and both of them have the British nationality. And the kids, they have four kids. Two of them born in the US, sorry, in the UK, and the other kids born in Syria. But all of the family is a British citizens. So they apply for the ISTA, and instantly they get approved. Okay, that was 2017, and after 2 weeks, he received a notice that his wife and two of the kids was denied the ISTA.
Because
So
of
they
the
have to apply for the B1, B2 visa from the yeah, in the US embassy in London. He went there. He applied for everything. They have a clear immigration history. They have never been. He have been to the US a couple of times before, but the wife and the kids never been to the US. And he applied for the B1. He was asked to stay in a private room, and they ask him about every. I mean, they ask all the family about all the details from birth until the interview dates. And unfortunately, it's all the family. I mean, there is the even denied after it's been approved. All the families been denied the ISTA, and then they applied. For anyone that didn't apply, that didn't know the ISTA, it's a special agreement between the US and almost 30 countries that can apply to go to the US without the visa. They have to apply for permission. It's called ESTA. So he have been denied. All the family denied the ISTA, and they have to go to the embassy. And this date, almost 2017, they put an administrative review, and they've been held of the administrative review for 2 years. He was trying to do everything he is possible, but what your advice for someone like in this situation, especially it's just a visit. I mean, there's no economic hit, or it will not be someone like going to do a master's or have a business visit, something not very, it's a lot for leisure visits. What is the advice for someone to go through, just to go to do consultation with yourself, or what kind of things he can do just to speed up the process?
I'm being very honest with you. That here's the there is a doctrine in the United States in immigration law called the doctrine of consular non-reviewability. In 1996, Congress passed a law that said that the decision of a consular officer is non-reviewable. Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter what the decision is. It's the only way that you can actually have them review or have them reconsider their decision is in one of two ways. There is an administrative appeals process that you can do with the State Department. You can actually email a lawyer to lawyer. You can actually email a lawyer at the State Department and see if they can lift the admin hold on the case, or you can file a federal lawsuit against the consulate for them to actually tell you why why are you why is it's taken so long to actually approve your case. The first one is very simple. It's an email. It's very affordable. The problem is the lawyers for the State Department never like to go against the consular officer's decision. So it's very rare, unless someone said, "I'm not doing it for you. I'm not going to give you the visa because you're from Syria," and or said something derogatory until against Syrian people, and it's documented. They would never go against the consular officers and actually reverse the decision that they made. That's number one. Number two, the federal lawsuit. Any lawyer that would do the federal lawsuit is going to charge you $10,000 to $20,000 to actually get that federal lawsuit started and filed against the government. And most of the time, their defense will be the doctrine of consular non-reviewability. You don't have for the court not to have jurisdiction uh, to review the decision of the consular process, the consular officer. So they are very limited ways to actually to get them to move on an admin hold. But if you don't do it on your own and you try to get an attorney to do it for you, even filing for a visitor visa, hire an attorney to do it for you compared to you doing it on your own, especially if you know something that might be an admissibility issue for you. Hire an attorney to do it on your behalf instead of you doing it on your own, and that will probably give you the best fighting chance to get it done without being placed in administrative hold.
Okay, so so you can hire attorney to, to send an update, or what kind? For example, if my friend, he already been case has been dismissed, have been approved, but for someone else in the same situation, so
Yeah.
he will hire you. You first do consultation. What
Yes.
will be the next step after the consultation?
So I will when they hire my office, I will help them submit the application for the visa. I will write a memorandum of law to the consular officer, why they should approve the visa. I will put together a whole packet that what I will be able to email them, and I will become their attorney in front of the consular officer. So if the consular officer has any issues with issuing the decision on the case, they will actually contact me and say, "Here's what we found. We need you to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Could you please let us know how you would like to handle it?" I will become the attorney for the whole process. And we've had cases where they were in admin hold because they actually hired us. We were able to answer the administrative hold on their behalf. Now, there are some things like terrorist activities that I would tell you, if you're connected to anything like that, I'm not going to be able to do it for you. If I find out that there is something in your background that's going to be a prohibition against you to get the actual visa into the United States, then I would tell you, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it. But if it's something doable, I'll be more than happy to help.
Okay. Most of the question that I've received, that people just have different immigration. They might apply before to the B1, B2, their family status changes. They have different citizenship. They lived in different countries for different reasons. So that most of them will be just, just out of luck. There's no reason. There's no grounds for reason for reviews, or just a process. Okay, that's amazing. That could be solved. The one of the question that we have received. So, getting back to the idea that So hiring attorney even before processing the visa, that will act as like a firewall or the security between the applicant themselves and the consult. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
And you'll be able to apply. You'll be able to answer all the questions or the follow up or the documents in a proper way
Yeah.
back to the to the embassy themselves anywhere in the world.
Yes. Anywhere in the world, we do those cases. Yes.
Okay, okay. Where is the most you can say where is the most difficult emphasis for the US that you have dealt with during the last couple of 5 years? I mean, they have like a couple of statistics that, for example, applying from India is the refusal rate is like this, applying from Pakistan, applying from Egypt or Nigeria, where you see that it's much better to have an attorney if you are applying from these locations
But
and instead of just do
you know,
it yourself.
my answer to that is that you should always hire an attorney to do a case. The problem is there is some countries that have a high recidivism rate or high denial rates because of fraud.
Okay.
So let's say Bombay, for example, in India,
Oh,
has one of the highest
okay.
fraud rates in the world for the last 20 years. So if you've been
Hmm.
if you're applying for a green card based on marriage and you've only seen the person 1 or 2 times in your whole life, and you got married to them after 3 to 4 weeks, I promise you, I've had those. um they're not going to approve you. I mean, they're just not going to approve you. And I'm being very honest with you. If you're applying for a visitor visa, you're in your 20s, you don't have any connections to your country, and you don't have any money in your bank account, applying for a visa into the United States, it's going to be very difficult, and the approval is going to be very difficult. You can apply and spend the money on it, but if you don't have the connections and the things that are going to prove that you're coming back to your country, applying for a visitor visa is not going to be the best way to do it. Talking to an attorney that would tell you do this 1 2 3 4, it will be easier and money talks. I mean, if you have $100,000 in your bank account and you're coming into the United States and applying for a visitor visa, I'm not telling you $100,000 is going to guarantee you a visa, but you're less likely to go to the United States and work on a visitor visa if you have money to sustain yourself in the United States, and they know that you have the means of going back to the United States after you're done with your visit. That would give them an indication that you're coming back, especially if the money is overseas, right? The other problem that
Hmm.
people run into in applying for a visitor visa is they just don't know how to answer the questions. And most of the time, the
The
council,
interview question, you mean?
yeah, I mean, the council officers are trained on figuring out fraud. Absolutely trained. I mean, they
Hmm.
have seen everything in the world that
Okay.
that they're so if you itch your nose, or you have a tell or something like that when you lie, they're going to figure it out. So having an attorney that will actually, I prepare my clients to any interviews that they go for in front of an immigration officer. So I will sit down and ask you questions, grill you, make sure that you actually answer things the right way. I'm not gonna coach you, but I'm just gonna tell you how to answer questions when they're asked. So
Yeah.
that would give you a better chance of getting the visa than not. So
Definitely, totally agree. And I mean, what do you think about there's? I mean, during the last couple of years, especially after the lockdown, I've seen a lot of small companies. They say that we are ex-US visa officers or ex-counselors, and they're giving advice how to pass through the interview, and they charge sometime between 250 up to a couple of thousands. They don't give legal advice, but they give only an interview advice. What do you think about this kind of companies? Because they are popping up everywhere.
yeah, and that's really bad for our business, right? But the problem is, I don't know if they're saying that they're ex-consular officers and they're doing work in the State Department, in the realm of State Department work, I would be very, very weary of it, because there is, like, in your contract with the State Department, if you're a consular officer, there is a number one, there is a non-compete, and number two, you're not allowed to actually use your experience to do immigration work in front of USCIS embassies for a certain amount of time. So beware of who you hire. There
Wow.
is something, yeah, there is something in the Foreign Affairs manual that allows people overseas to give advice and all of that stuff. And um I'm dealing with someone right now who actually is using my a name very similar to my name in another country. And I'm dealing with that, with those issues. But it doesn't really matter if they're not lawyers. No, it doesn't matter if they've been doing it for 5 months or 20 years. I have seen people who are notarios or consular officers that don't know the law. Like, you shouldn't apply for a visitor
Yes.
visa
Yeah.
if you have a trafficking in cocaine kind of conviction in your background. And unfortunately, some of these people just take the money, five,
Yes.
10, $15,000, tell you, "Oh, I guarantee you that I'm gonna get you the visa," and then who are you gonna go after the guarantee doesn't work, right? If I
Yes.
do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
to you,
Totally
and if
agree.
I, yeah,
So, I mean,
sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, so that would be like a conflict of interest between the service they already provided to the US government,
Yes,
and they're trying to make money out of the service.
yes.
There would be like, I mean, should be in the case against them because they're trying to provide service which they are not fit for purpose. That's right.
Yeah, but who are you gonna go after? I mean, in most most countries, if you're a victim of fraud, and who are you gonna go after? I mean, a lot of countries, third world countries, they can bribe someone and get out of trouble. So who are you gonna go after? Us, me and you have licenses. They can go to the bar association and say this person stole money from me, and we'll be in a lot of trouble for it. But if a
Yeah,
person is saying, I used to be a consular officer, who are you going to go after him with? There's no one to go after him with, other than you
I
going
understand.
to the police. There's no way, no accountability for him.
Yes, yes, totally agree. Totally. Yeah, that's. I mean, I've never think about it like this before because I mean, many of the, I mean, many of friends and family they tell me we've seen this ex-counselor who providing advice. Some of them actually quit this advice and turned to be a lawyer. They have a law degree and then they started the law offices. But and I was very skeptical because I don't understand why they quit the advice side and they started to be attorney, which is explain the point that there could be conflict of interest because it was started as an idea and then there's a lot of people was trying to get into the you can say the train of success. That's happened a lot in our industry as always. Yeah. So I mean we almost have 25 minutes now, so let's close this very interesting episode. We discussed it about the administrative review, the administrative points, how to prepare for the your visitor visa P1 B2, and how to make sure that when you hire an attorney, everything will be as much as possible uh, on the right side instead of going loops or provide unreal information, understanding the whole situation. What is your last point, or you can say, what are the last trends that you see in the US immigration history, especially in 2024? Not just in the scams, but kind of fishy advice or people who are trying to claim that they can do something. One of the kind of the you can say complicated or funny cases that you've seen during the last 6 months. Yeah.
Fiance visas, polygamy cases where people were married to two people at the same time. Someone tells you, well, it doesn't matter if you're married to two people at the same time. like if you've had the religious marriage, it doesn't really count, but for U.S. purposes, it actually does. Um, if you hell, this is my favorite, probably my favorite one. I will sign you up for college, but you don't have to go to classes. Or I will sign you up for college. You can go get
That's
a job and pay for college with it. That's it, and they're all 95% of those people that gave that advice were people who are not qualified to do it. So
yes, definitely, definitely. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's be ready for this couple of questions. Next episode we'll discuss about the marriage visa, the finance visa, and how to check for the spams, how to understand about the migration. Sorry, the U.S. point of view of different partners, and also understanding about the marriage or secular marriage, or the different kind of civil partnerships, marriage partnerships, cohabitation, because there's many. That's a very unique. There's different rules and regulation most people don't understand. At the end of the day, if you don't know the US law, because you try to move to the US, your visa will be refused or get into that split review, or life will be much more complicated. So that will be the main topic for our next episode. And also, as I promise, we will have another episode in Arabic, because me and Mr. Ahmed speak Arabic, so that will be for the Arabic speaker. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thank you, Ahmed, very, very much. That's a very interesting topics today. Appreciate your time and efforts, and we'll see you again soon, inshallah.
take care. Thank you so much.
Stay global, my friends. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and always stay global, my friends. Bye-bye.